This is a quick session of Alone Among the Stars RPG, but rewritten to make a lick of sense, even though my imagination might be wacky. I was doing my regular duties, delivering cargo to various planets, when I suddenly came across an anomaly in my navigation system. I was curious and plotted a course towards it. The closer I got, the more I realized it was not an asteroid or a moon, but a planet that had not been discovered. I noticed nothing but a sea of white clouds surrounding it. I descended into the clouds, but the gravity kept getting stronger and stronger, so I yanked back the control stick to avoid crashing into anything. I continued struggling with the control stick, but it was to no avail. My last resort was to strap myself into the emergency restraints and prepare for impact. The next thing I knew, I was still alive. My eyes were closed, and I didn't feel injured. It did feel like I was upside down though. The ship must have flipped when he hit the ground. I opened my eyes, and the first thing I saw was a blue sea outside the window. After pausing for a minute, I unbuckled my restraints, fell onto the glass, struggled to get myself back up, and tried to reboot the ship's engines. The ship's computer informed me that it would take about an hour to reboot. In the meantime, I decided to scavenge outside for supplies. I headed towards the airlock doors to find an oxygen suit to put it on. Then, I opened the doors and saw massive branches surrounding the entrance. I carefully walked on one of the big branches, balancing myself. Looking above, I noticed enormous wooden walls, and I realized I was on a giant tree. There was a forest of trees all around. I hadn't crashed on a cliff. I had landed on the top of a tree. I wondered how the ship had flipped. I walked back to the cockpit and checked my navigation instruments. I asked the computer about my current orientation and indicated that we were still right side up. It was possible that this anomaly of a planet was messing with my devices. I walked back outside the ship and began climbing down branch by branch. I reached the bottom of the tree where I saw clouds surrounding the base. From above, it looked like an ocean of water. As I got closer, I noticed the tree's trunk just disappeared into a light mist. I climbed back up the tree, this time higher than where my ship was. Climbing up one branch at a time into the very top, or what I assumed were clouds above me, was actually a sea of water. Was that what I was seeing through the window? I pull a small branch off the tree and throw it up into the sky. And just as I suspected, the branch fell into the water, and so I contemplated a big jump and leaped into the water above. I started swimming deeper into the water, and as it got darker, I noticed that the lights were emanating the deeper I swam, like stars in a void. It was pitch black, with nothing but dots of light shining through. I continued swimming, getting closer to the lights. They got bigger, like air pockets or holes. I chose one and swam closer, eventually reaching the surface of the water. I climbed out of the hole and found myself in a brightly lit cavern with water-filled holes covering the floors. In front of me was a massive stone temple shaped like a tree with a gate at its center, with two large statues next to the gate, one with the shape of a moon and one with the shape of a sun, both with strange symbols etched into them. I approached the gate. It was dark inside, so I turned on my flashlight and saw more of those strange symbols etched into the walls. Though they didn't look carefully carved like the ones outside, they seemed rushed, as if someone didn't want to be there for too long. I continued walking through the temple hallway and found a pedestal with a stone cube on it. I hesitated for a moment, but curiosity got the best of me, and I took the cube, placing it in my knapsack. As I stood there, wondering if I triggered a trap, nothing happened. I breathed a sigh of relief and left the temple. However, as soon as I exited, the gate slammed shut behind me, and I heard rumbling as rocks fell, collapsing the temple. I ran down the temple stairs and didn't look back, reaching the nearest hole and jumping into the water. I swam as the cave collapsed behind me and kept swimming until I reached the other surface of the water. But as soon as I emerged, I felt gravity pulling me up, and I began falling down toward the tree. I grabbed onto the nearest branch to avoid falling to the misty cloud, and I climbed down the tree to find my way back to the ship. I noticed that the ship was ready to reboot, so I restarted its power, turned on all the instruments, and powered on the engine. I allocated all power to the engines, turned on my thrusters, and took off from the planet. This time, I didn't struggle as hard against the gravity and atmosphere. I made it off the planet, picked up the cube artifact, and wondered what it meant. I decided to call this planet Sursum 1.